What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Another day, another sweep of the Twins. Oh, I like that souvenir cup you got there, Scott.
Thank you. A little Didi Gregorius shout out.
Ooh.
Man who hits,
Is that from,
hits the ball to section 205 consistently.
Do you remember like a game or year that's from?
2018,
2019?
Couldn't tell you. Don't remember.
Okay. Good
But
talk.
It's I'll tell you that the drink has a copyright of 2018, so I would assume that I got it in 19.
No, it was from 2019. Oh, you're saying 2018.
Yeah, the copyright was 18, so I got it in 19 most likely.
Yeah.
But it's a nice, good, sturdy cup. Again, one of these ones that I'll sweep the stands after a game and snag, especially if it's got a good, firm, plastic to
You put
it.
that through the
It's not
dishwasher?
flimsy. Oh, hell yeah.
Nice. Just poisoning yourself.
The
Beating
gin and
the
tonic. The
Twins-
gin and tonic takes all the poison out. Don't worry.
Beating the gin and tonic at 9 o'clock in the morning? We're doing
Well,
that?
I sterilize it at night and drink through water in the morning. It's a good system.
At this point, beating the Minnesota Twins is like beating your 6-year-old brother in pickup basketball. Like, it's not even a competition anymore. It's great. They swept the Twins again. Whoopee! But, like, man, it's just pure domination.
It's crazy though because you look at the roster and the players on this
They don't
team,
suck. They're
not a
suck.
bad team. They're not a bad team. They have some pitching. They have some offense. They got this Royce kid back who immediately made an impact. They're not a bad team. They have players. They have guys. And the Yankees, it just doesn't matter. 6-0. Just thank you very much for padding our 8-game win streak going into the Dodgers series. But I appreciate the Minnesota Twins. I do, because they are part of the story. They're part of the story here. Yeah. It's a good thing that they have going.
Yeah, I don't know when that reckoning is coming, but you and I might not be alive. Definitely probably not doing this podcast whenever that reckoning finally hits.
Well, I was having some last night. I got a little glimpse of like some potential bad juju. Okay, it didn't happen, thank goodness. But with Juan Soto going out, of the game after the rain delay, it was the weird rain delay, down by 3, but the game felt over. If Minnesota had come back and won that game last night,
that's
like one of those like potential curse breaking because juju type wins where you don't want to see it, but it did not happen. So I'm thankful, but it was on my radar because it felt that, there were opportunities late in the game where they could have made that game much, much closer, but they did not.
Obviously the number one negative, if that's a phrase, the worst thing to happen from the series is the Juan Soto injury in Thursday night's game during the rain delay. Doesn't come back out after the rain delay. Immediately everyone is,
why is Verdugo playing?
What's going on here? Because Juan Soto plays every game, every inning. Like, that's what he does. This isn't, we're just trying to get Stanton off the wet field type of thing after a rain delay. Like, if Juan Soto comes out of a game, everyone's alarm bells go up.
100%. And then immediately the CSI Bronx happens with the fans. I was doing the same thing, looking through throws, looking at previous plays. I found a play that was like from yesterday where he went up and caught that ball up against the in foul territory, up against the wall, and
braces himself with his left arm into the. It didn't
and
look like
when his bottom half hit the wall a little bit, there was a little bit of like a jut, a little bit of a jam. And if something is irritated, like something like that could tweak it, but who knows? If it's been happening, like they said, for he's had some
feeling
type of
it for a week. Then
tendinitis in that regard can flare up. It could go down. If it's something along those lines, there's things that can happen in the muscles that obviously can flare up, and these guys are not healthy all year long. So this is not one of those situations where I'm looking at the Yankees medical staff and saying, why didn't you do this? They're listening to Juan Soto. He's a veteran player. He's playing through it. Nothing is showing that he's injured or it's affecting anything he's doing on the baseball field. So it's like a monitor situation. And yeah, I think last night, and this is my glass half full optimistic view, obviously, because that's what I'm still there. I have to be. I can't go down the other side until I know something more. But of course, they're going to be extremely precautionary with him. And the fact that it has been, on their radar, and there was an hour delay. So getting cooled off, warming back up, maybe it's a little tight in between. It makes a lot of sense for him to just not come back in that game, honestly.
So after the game, Boone said Soto's been dealing with it for about a week, and clearly in that span, it has affected his performance greatly because he's only hitting 389, 520, 833 with a 1300 OPS in that span. Obviously hit the 2 home runs in that San Francisco game on Sunday. So would like to see what he's going to perform like with a fully healthy forearm. But you said you don't blame the Yankees medical staff because they're listening to Juan Soto. He's a veteran player, and he's been a durable veteran player, so you're going to let him dictate everything.
Well, and he's also been getting treatment. It's not like they haven't been looking at it. They've been monitoring
Did
it.
Did they do an MRI on it when he said my forearm's feeling something?
No, it doesn't sound like they've done any imaging.
Why?
Because at some point, I think imaging is too early. You can't see anything, so it does not do any good.
But if a player... This isn't you or me needing to schedule an MRI, go through our healthcare provider to make sure it's covered and everything like that. Okay? Yeah. If your star player, you're the New York Yankees, any one of your players, even a bum at the bottom of the roster, but especially your star superstars, say, I'm feeling something, just do it. What do you have to lose?
Because then you'd be doing it all the time. If someone says, "Yeah, I'm a little sore," and do anything you're not going to go immediately to the MRI right there because it may not show a damn thing either. Information.
Okay, so then great, it didn't show anything. If you complain about it again 2 days from now, we're going to do another MRI. It doesn't show something. Okay, great. You're good to go back out there. 3 days later, feeling something. Let's do another MRI.
It's not. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Well, what happens is the Yankees medical staff. This is what happens is, he was dealing with it for a week. We didn't do an MRI. He was just trying to, manage it. Oh, boom, IL.
I think it's too easy to blame the medical staff in this instance. I think it's
why
too
is it easy
especially
to blame them?
Because position players are banged up constantly. Juan Soto plays every single game, every single year. You don't think that he's banged up throughout that entire time? I promise you he is, and he just plays through it, and he's able to do it. So if they're running to an MRI machine, especially when they're have been on the West Coast for an extended period of time, every single time someone says, "Oh, my tummy hurts" or something aches in my leg or my arm, then they would be doing MRIs all day long. It's just not the way it works. So they did it. It's a week. It's still you're still feeling it. It's still getting a little tight. Okay, MRI. I think that's a reasonable time span.
Do they have an MRI? Do they have to go somewhere for an MRI? Do we know this? Do they have
it's like a tube. It's like a whole thing.
They don't have that at the stadium in their facilities?
I don't know if they have it in their facilities, but
I would guess they do.
It's not like it's the easiest thing to do. It's not like a quick X-ray, unless I'm just missing technology that exists out there where they bring an X-ray to you and do it in 2 seconds.
No, but I'm pretty sure they
Those
probably
MRI machines have the worst sound too.
I'm sure they have something at Yankee Stadium to give an MRI. I don't know that for sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
Guess.
Those MRI machines aren't small, so having it in the training room.
That's right.
Might be,
if Hal's paying for an MRI machine, he certainly can't get.
What's going to affect where the buffet sits, and where people have to go in when they're too drunk and they get quarantined. You got to have those rooms.
Have you been in those rooms before?
No, but I've heard about them.
So you're not super concerned. Listen, I'm mostly playing devil's advocate.
Look, I'm not saying I'm not super concerned. Of course, this is anytime Juan Soto doesn't come back in a game and there's imaging that's going to be taken, and Dr. Ahmad was in the building. I don't know why he was in the building. I don't know if he was there because of Soto and them looking at this. I don't know. Of course, there's concern.
They sent out the bat signal earlier in the day, and Ahmad just swooped in.
Well, you're looking at the baseball numbers, and like you said, the guy is still lighting the world on fire.
That's the crazy thing.
So it's not hindering his elite performance in any way. He's a professional athlete doing it at the very highest level and playing at the highest level you can possibly play. So I don't know what's saying that he's injured besides them just having a conversation and be like, yeah, this is sore. It's still a little tight. Let's work on it. Let's get a little little rub out, on the forearm, a little massage, and just keep an eye on it. So I think if it's been going on for a week, like this is just, it feels reasonable. I don't know. That's my take on it. It feels reasonable, especially after an hour delay when you do cool down after getting so ramped up to play in a game, and then a long delay like that happens, and there's a little bit of thing with your star guy. Like, I'm totally good. I'm glad that they did that, because that's when injuries can happen. Also, get ready too fast. You have a little bit of a soreness. It's soft tissue is at a point where maybe there's an opportunity for something worse to happen, and a lot of times it will happen on these like ramp up, cool down moments. So I think it was smart. I haven't said that about the staff in a very long time, but I don't see any issues here.
Pulling him, I have no issue pulling him from the game. I want to keep him healthy, and if that's going to help keep him healthy, of course. Why does Boone have to tell us he's been feeling it for a week, though? He didn't have to tell us that. All that does is open them up to criticism.
I think he's just talking about what it is. You want him to lie? I don't want him to lie about that. It's fine.
It's not lying. It's just withholding a piece of information.
They were well, Dr. Ahmad was there. They had tests. Like, you heard Zillow jumping in to talk when Boone was getting asked these questions, because he had obviously more information at that point than even Boone had.
They're calling in the big guns for this. Okay.
Well, Zillow was always there, but
this is what, if I'm gonna play the concerned angle of this, that's what concerns me. It's like they are all seemingly on high alert talking after the game, talking about this
because they know it's the biggest news here. They know that this is the only thing anybody cares about. Like,
but
the fact that Marcus Stroman
don't tell us that he's been feeling it for a week. Don't tell us that Dr.
You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth, because when they downplay it and then all of a sudden there's a thing, you get incredibly angry.
No, what I get angry about.
There's a mirror that you need to look into.
This is what I get angry about most with the Yankees medical staff. An injury happens, and then we're like, "Ah, shit, that sucks." And then we come to find out they knew information weeks, months earlier, and didn't do what was necessary to potentially prevent an injury, make an injury not as severe, or whatever that might be. Like with the DJ LeMahieu thing and coming back in his first attempt at coming back from his foot injury. MRI on Friday, not cleared to play, but he'll be good to go on Tuesday. Tuesday, trot him out there, first inning, pulled out of the game. Why'd you do that? That doesn't make any freaking sense. That is what I get most upset with in this medical staff. It's not the withholding or telling us wrong information. That is annoying. But
that's exactly what happened with LeMahieu. That was a communication issue.
But it mostly comes from them saying too much information that we don't really need to know, because all it does is
he didn't
shoot
say anything
besides
the fact that he was feeling something in there and that they were giving him treatment. The fact that they were giving him treatment, they probably have to disclose to someone at some point. And if there's imaging, they probably also have to disclose that too. There may be something along the lines with that too, about disclosing whatever they have to.
Based on
precautions.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know the rule on that exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, though. They didn't say much about it.
He's not going on the IL. He's not going on the IL or anything like that. He's just
knock on wood right now, please. Because
I know, but like, so you're saying, so at this point they don't have to tell us shit. He literally came out of the game during a rain delay. They did not have to tell us anything last night. It would have been alarming if they literally said nothing last night.
What do you want them to do? Say nothing? Then
no, I don't want them to say
worse.
nothing. But all that they could have said was he was feeling a little forearm tightness or soreness.
Look, I don't know where you want to go with this, because this is it doesn't make any sense to me where you're coming from. Because when they ask him what happened, he's either going to say, well, something happened and he tweaked it in today's game, or he's going to say, actually, he's been feeling something, so we just took a precaution. Otherwise, there's no like answer that makes any sense. You have to say something about why. Otherwise, it happened in the game. Because if it didn't happen in the game, well, then why was he pulled? Clearly, there was some more information and context that needed to be described so that people could have some semblance of an answer. Where you're asking to say nothing makes no sense to me, because the reporters are there to ask the questions. They're doing their job, and it is part of the job to communicate back to them in information as much, what you know, But you can't be vague about that because it either happened in the game or there was something going on beforehand that they were aware of. There's no in between there.
And I guess it's going to come out eventually. If he's been feeling it for a week, that information will come out eventually somehow.
Yeah, there's just at the end of the day, there's just no in between. Like you have to disclose something about why the reason you pulled the man out of the game. And it's either something that happened in that game, he felt something on a throw, or there was something, they were just being precautionary.
But how did he tweak it in the first place?
And they don't know because Juan Soto got up there on the mic too at the end, and he had no idea. He didn't seem alarmed.
So that could have been
either.
the same thing in last night's game. Yeah, I don't know how I did it last night. Just started to feel something.
Okay, so then again, you're lying directly about last night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
because
you've argued yourself into a corner.
My point is, them telling us he's been feeling it for a week, all it does is open the medical staff up for more criticism. Because when a player is playing for a week, that's potentially damaging an injury even more. That's all. That's my point. That's my point. Oh, I know. Yeah. He was still performing. That doesn't matter. You could be hitting 1,000. If you're still out there, you're sore or injured or half injured, you could injure yourself more. What if he did it on a home run?
You're not batting 385.
What if he did it on a home run?
Yeah, the only thing that was concerning to me last night, and I was looking back, the thought crossed my brain at one point before he even was pulled when it was the Correa fly ball to right field, runner on second and third, and it was less on the throw, but he was like the way that he approached that fly ball, he had no intention of trying to even remotely challenge the runner at third.
Wasn't it a 5-1 game at that point though?
Yeah, he camped out underneath it and then just got it in. So. I'm just saying it crossed my mind at the time where he didn't challenge anybody. He just kind of threw it back in. If he wanted to, and was in position behind the ball, he could have made a throw at third and probably been close, but he did not. So I wasn't concerned about it at any means. I dismissed it immediately, but it was something that flittered past my brain at that
after
moment.
You knew he was
weird.
pulled from the game, not in the moment.
No, I know. I remember thinking it to myself in the moment, but then I immediately dismissed it. I was like, yeah, probably 5-1 game. He was just whatever.
All right, so the positives from the Minnesota series. First is that on Wednesday they scored 9 runs without hitting a home run. And we were looking up how many runs or what percentage of runs the Yankees have scored this year via the home run versus other means, because there's been criticisms, obviously, with recent teams that they're too home run dependent, and that has certainly seemed to be better this year. And the percentage of runs that they have scored via the home run this year is 50.6. So a hair over half. When you compare that to 2023, 50.8. So basically the same. I would say the key difference between 2023 and 2024 is they're scoring more runs this year. So that is obviously a good thing. And then going back to 2022, 52.3%. So another way to look at this that we were just dissecting is something called batter run value, which gives different weight to at-bats depending on the ball count, outs, and runners on base. So if a batter hits better in less valuable situations but struggles in more valuable ones, his OPS and weighted on base average can still look good when his baseball run value would not be good in those spots. So we've talked a lot about high leverage, medium leverage, low leverage spots. Something like a on base percentage, as this just said, doesn't really care about leverage because you get on base or you don't. That's just a raw number, where baseball run value is trying to really truly find the value of at-bats. And the Yankees lead baseball with a batter run value of 134. Baltimore is second at 131, and the Dodgers are third at 111. So it's just some more context here to say, not only are the Yankees scoring a lot of runs, they have a good mix of scoring runs on home runs and not home runs, but they are also having quality at bats in situations that matter.
Why do you think that is? I was going to say, let's translate that for the people that didn't hear anything through those numbers, and I think you just did that. About they're consistent. It seems like they're consistent.
The lineup 1 through 9, the lineup is far more consistent this year than it has been in previous years.
And you're right. The 50% number is compared to the other years is a little deceiving in the sense that, it's an even split, but there's more of it. They're scoring more runs that are not
8
on
runs.
the home run.
You're scoring 8 runs, 4 on home runs, 4 on not, versus last year you're scoring 2 runs, and one of them's a solo home run, and the other one's a meaningless 9th inning run when you're down 5-1.
Overall, the approach at the plate is just significantly better this year, and I understand that comes with having better hitters, having better lineup construction, so that you can rely on working the count a little bit more. And they've talked about this. Like, the guys have really, bought into the whole premise of passing the baton. It's Juan Soto leads by example. Judge leads by example. They pass the baton to the next guy. And the fact that you got you got Stanton, who has been rejuvenated, reborn, able to hit the fastball, able to lay off pitches, able to get base hits. There's a lot of confidence now up and down that lineup because it's working. If you have a guy like Stanton playing like he did last year, you might have Soto and Judge pressing a little bit more because they understand that those guys maybe aren't picking up the weight that they need to when they're on base. But that's not happening. The guys are hitting, and I understand there are a few folks in there that are not hitting, but for the large majority, the offense is producing up and down.
And the fact that they have good hitters up and down the lineup, a much more complete lineup, does have a positive impact even on the guys that are not considered as good of hitters. I think it was John Flaherty who made this point on one of the broadcasts this week, comparing to the 98 Yankees, which is always dangerous because if you remember around this time in 2022, that team got compared to the 98 Yankees, and look what happened, right?
Well, when you're on a projected win
I know,
total.
but like, that team was perhaps the greatest baseball team of all time. So it's a little dangerous.
You go back to that team, though, and you look at that roster construction, and there are a lot of guys on there that will surprise you that team was as good as it was.
It was extreme.
Brocious had a hell of a year, but you got
so
Chad
balanced.
Curtis in left field.
No, yeah, the left field is really the glaring weakness. That was such a complete roster, such a complete lineup. Scott Brocious hitting ninth was dangerous because Scott Brocious came from Oakland. He had a pretty mediocre year, I believe, in 1997. Yankee scouts liked him, thought he could produce a little bit more. I think he was hitting cleanup in Oakland. He comes to the Yankees. He hits bottom of the lineup behind, after Jeter, Bernie, O'Neill, Knobloch, Posada, all of these guys who are grinding to a pulp pitchers. And then there's Scott Brocious there to collect hits in the ninth spot. That is the positive impact a deep lineup at the top has on the bottom of a lineup.
It's right. And when you have a guy that can turn it back over, and again take advantage, because Brocious took advantage of balls over the plate because they were attacking him, and this is the same thing I've said about Volpe, and frankly I'm hoping that LeMahieu feels some of this as well, just because of Volpe's success. At some point they're going to really start challenging him if he's at the bottom of that lineup and staying down there. He's going to be able to collect base hits consistently as well. So it is something that affects everybody up and down the lineup, having the success in the middle.
I've been telling you guys about my favorite pair of jeans, Doer, for a couple months now. The reason I love them so much is because they are the most versatile pair of jeans I have ever owned. You can dress them up or dress them down. They're so comfortable that sometimes I forget that I'm even wearing the jeans, and also they fit great. Doer's jeans are not just your typical denim. Doer's denim features 360-degree stretch. They're made from technical fibers designed to keep you cool and dry. I wore them this week, and it was pretty hot in New Jersey, pretty hot and humid, but my legs were feeling nice and good in those Doer jeans. That means you can work, lounge, travel, and pretty much do anything else in these jeans. Doer makes jeans and lifestyle apparel for men and women. They make a great gift for a birthday or special occasions coming up. See for yourself why Doer is the most wanted denim. I know you will love these jeans. Check out Doer's flagship stores in LA or Denver, or shop online at shopdoer.com/Bronx. Our listeners right now get 20% off site-wide when you use the exclusive URL shopdoer.com/Bronx. That is spelled DUER. This is a great deal. Do not wait. 20% off right now at shopdoer.com/Bronx. Second positive is Carlos Rodon. He was perfect into the sixth inning before he gave up 2 runs in his start against Minnesota. Do you think his issues last year are fully behind him? Are everything in the rearview mirror with this guy?
I think so. I think when you see the confidence level and the fact that he's kind of, he's comfortable in pinstripes at this point and pitching really well, I think, yeah, absolutely. I think there's nothing here to. He's got a really good pitch mix now. I think, the fact that we we're getting a 2-pitch pitcher. That's just not the case. Like he's definitely throwing more than 2 pitches and doing it well and throwing some good balance. Primarily 2 pitches, yes, but he's showing enough of some of these off speed pitches to get more success. I think it's really important. I think they've done a great job with him rebounding, and yeah, he looks like he's the guy that we thought we were getting.
He had a cool reaction, I thought, to Verdugo's great catch against the wall. That was fun to see, because I remember I made the point earlier in the year for one of Rodon starts where I was like, he's actually smiling, and like you didn't see him smile at all last year. Obviously injury and then sucking will do that to a guy, but he definitely seems, I agree, he's more comfortable just on the team in Pinstripe, and performance is the number one reason for that, because ultimately if he wasn't performing on the field, he probably would not be in a good mood. So the performance is obviously helping, but I did enjoy that reaction. The only possible thing here with Rodon where it might make you pause is, while his just regular numbers are good, he's made 13 starts, which is tied most in the league, 73 innings pitched, 3.08 ERA. Those are all great numbers. 8.8 strikeouts per 9, 2.5 walks per 9. Okay, fine. His advanced metrics aren't as good. So his FIP is 4.22, fielder independent pitching ERA, which indicates that his ERA of 3.08 is a little lucky, and that he, over more time, his ERA will come up. And then some of his StatCast numbers, his expected numbers are in the blue. So expected ERA 4.19, as I said. His actual ERA is 3.08. So expected batting average 241, which is in the 52nd percentile. His average exit velocity ranks in the bottom 10th percentile. His chase percentage, whiff percentage, strikeout percentages are all pretty much middle of the pack. He is actually surprisingly pretty good for walk percentage, where, like I said, 2.5 walks per 9 innings ranks him in the 69th percentile. Nice. But then barrel percentage, hard hit, ground ball, all on the negative side. So I know you always say, give me the scoreboard numbers, not the StatCast numbers. Ultimately, I do agree with that. But if you are looking at Rodon, I would venture to guess, if the Yankees analytics department is looking at Rodon, they would be concerned by some of these numbers.
I don't know if concern's the right word, but you're always keeping an eye on this stuff and making sure that none of it actually takes hold, because that's the thing about these analytics. You use them to make adjustments as well. So if they're in the future, then in theory, you have the ability to affect that, right? So you have these numbers so that you can affect the way you're changing, so that you can steer some of these trends. One of the things that Logan's looking it up right now, but it seems to me every time I'm watching a Carlos Rodon start, is that he has a
very high run support.
High run support.
I think they mentioned this earlier this week on the broadcast. He might lead. I think he leads the team.
Well, when I see that, I am now a guy who has the ability to throw the ball over the plate, the ability to dictate more of what he wants to do, and can be in the strike zone. I feel like those StatCast numbers, you're going to see some trail off to what the actual results are. He's trying not
to walk guys, get ball. Yeah, I mean,
he's throwing the ball. He's competing more. He's going up against and attacking the hitters more often. If you have a lead, that's exactly what you do. If you're a fastball pitcher, you attack, especially if you have a lead. That's what you do. So that will make those StatCast numbers look a little different, I think. So, if there were closer games and he's still pitching like this, then maybe that's more of a concern for me. But I'm not really, concerned about it really at all. And same thing goes to any of these guys. Luis Gil, anybody who has especially the fastball pitchers, I feel like they can really start attacking the zone more often, and you're going to get nicked up for a solo shot or a base hit here and there. And that'll affect your numbers.
Gil's StatCast numbers, though, are off the charts.
Well, he's different.
All right, the third positive, Giancarlo Stanton scored on a sac fly. Granted, there was no throw home. Probably should have been a throw home. But they sent him. He scored. That happened.
That did happen. And the fact that they didn't, and I was waiting for you to blame Glaber for getting caught off second base.
He almost did.
and I was going to yell at you because
He was
who
drawing
in
the
their right
throw?
mind. Well, yes, he one smart to draw the throw. One, two, who in their right mind thought that he was not the ball was not going to home plate? Everybody in that stadium thought that ball was coming home because Giancarlo Stanton looks back, he's like, fuck it, and then just does his like old man trot all the way home. And
Stanton wouldn't have scored, by the way.
What?
Stanton would not have scored.
If they threw home?
No. If Gleyber's tagged out, Stanton doesn't score.
Well, it depends if he crosses the plate or not.
He
at that
hadn't.
moment. Well, okay. But he wasn't tagged out, so he got back. But again, the throw coming home is the move that every single person in there is expecting.
Yes.
And, Gleyber's trying to take a base, which I don't blame him. But
we're talking about the third inning
back
on Thursday, by the way.
Yeah.
But here's something that I think, in all seriousness, is very important for Stanton this year. 56 of 64 games played, 87.5% of games played.
That's what you want, right?
I mean, that's higher than I would have expected. I would have signed up for 2/3.
Yeah. Well, Logan just put the number in here. This is crazy, actually. Carlos Rodon getting 7.5 runs per 9, most in baseball.
Yeah. You're going to win a lot of games when you're getting 7.5 runs.
You're going to win a lot of games, and at that point, too, like, the walks are down, probably for a reason. Efficiency probably up because you're making the guys, you're challenging. You've got no reason not to.
There is nothing more
point.
frustrating when you've got a 5-0 lead and it's the 4th inning and your starting pitcher comes out there and walks the leadoff batter. You're like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. So I appreciate that, and to me that also shows that, and I think gives him another level of confidence is that your stuff is good. Just it's good enough to get guys out over the plate. And I've said this about Heel. Once you get to that level, I think that's just another tier that you can get to as a pitcher.
So, honorable mention here, Gleyber Torres over his last 2 weeks, a .286 batting average, .340 on base, .864 slugging with 2 homers, 4 doubles, 7 runs driven in, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts. Those are pretty much in line with numbers from last year and what we expected him to perform this season. All right.
Fantastic piece of hitting with runners on yesterday, too. There was a wide open gap on the right side from the first base to the line. It was monumental. It was huge. And he just slapped the ball over there, got it down the line, scored a couple runs, or would have scored a couple runs if someone was running, and then got on.
You're talking about, I think that was Wednesday.
It was when Stanton was on.
It was Wednesday's game, I think. Right?
He did it last night.
Oh.
That's how he got on second base with Stanton on third.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else would have scored, but Stanton was on third.
Wasn't there another double?
Yes, there was another double that you called an accident.
Yeah, that was
because
an accident.
He thought the ball was going.
He didn't
foul,
know.
but
He didn't know
not.
that he hit it. He didn't know
but
he
he
hit
did.
it.
He did. At the end of the day, he did. He did. He hit it, and he did the job, and did a very good job. And there were 2 outs. And
2 outs, and Stanton didn't even attempt to score. He was jogging into third when the ball was.
Yeah, the man was. He had 2 RBIs, and it was fantastic. So yes, Gleyber Torres seemingly turning a corner, and getting back to what we'd expect from him. So that's good news.
All right, the second negative from the series, someone not turning a corner, is Anthony Rizzo. He was 1 for 11 in the series. His on-base percentage, I think, is now .295.
Yeah, he's struggling mightily. One for 11 in the series. Is that what I saw? He's not having great at-bats.
He seems to go 1 for 11 in every series.
Yeah, he's not having good at-bats. He struck out yesterday on, they called it swing happy, because he was swing happy when he got up there and just got, fouled off a ball up in the zone with 2 strikes that he should have laid off, but didn't, and then struck out up in the zone again. They just kept going higher and higher and higher. And he was out of his element on that. I don't know. He's not seeing the ball well, not hitting. He's probably pressing. There's a lot of things going on.
So that brings us to our first mailbag question. We're going to bump this one up because it's relevant. Steven Aaron says, hey guys, been loving the show for years. With Rizzo struggling and him likely not coming back next year, is it time for the Yankees to start giving Spencer Jones reps at first base? Seriously, start considering him as the first baseman of the future. Thanks. I mean, that's something have heard talked about with Spencer Jones, especially if you think you're going to be locking up Juan Soto long term. You've got then Soto, Judge, and Jason Dominguez as your future outfield for the next 5+ years. But the other guy that made news this week because he got called up to AAA is Ben Rice. And I know you have been high on Ben Rice this week, dropping stuff in our text group chat. But Ben Rice is the number 12 prospect in the Yankee system. He's 25 years old, so he's a bit on the older side. You don't typically see 25-year-olds in AA that are going to go on to become future Major League Baseball stars. But he's
in AAA.
He was in AA 14
he was
hours
in
ago.
A too.
This season so far in the minors, in 184 at-bats, he's hitting .286 with a .385 on base and a .912 OPS. And then throughout his minor league baseball career, he's got a .916 OPS. So can definitely produce offensively in the minors.
Now, I'm not going down the path here that they said that I'm saying that Anthony Rizzo's job is in jeopardy at this point, because I don't think it is. But what I am looking at, and there are actually two guys in the minors right now that I'm keeping a close eye on, because, you know, when you have MLB.TV, you have the ability to watch minor league games, and I do that, which is great. You're able to watch some of these Somerset Patriot, crooked views from center field. Which
so you're the one watching those Somerset Patriot games.
Yeah. And so you're Ben Rice is a guy that, you know, I think he went to Dartmouth. It's not like, so the 25-year-old thing doesn't really, I don't really put a lot of weight in that.
He's a smart guy.
He's not like one of these guys that was, you know, they were rushing through the system by any means. And there's no reason to do that. He's been a catcher primarily. But what I'm looking at and seeing, he's been really splitting time and playing a lot more first base as well. Played first up at AAA in his first game, hit a home run, and they've been DHing him as well. So they're getting a good look at him and what he can do at first base, and seemingly defensively he's been very good as well. Hasn't made a lot of errors or missteps at the position as well. So I'm just interested to see how he continues to hit, because if Rizzo does, continue to struggle, or, maybe something's banged up and they need, another bat and someone to play first base, for them to not completely disrupt what's happening with the Yankees, and their depth, I would think that they would call up a first baseman at that point. And if that were the case, I'm looking at Ben Rice. I'm squarely looking at Ben Rice, because you want the flexibility. We saw what happened early in the year, and, who knows? Maybe this does come into play with Rizzo having to play as many games as he did with LeMahieu on the shelf. But you don't want to you don't want to put yourself in that position, especially June, going into the summer, of not having roster flexibility with the field. And that's where they were for the first month and a half with LeMahieu out. Rizzo was their only legitimate first baseman. I know Cabrera went over there a little bit, but I would think at this point you would try to call up a true defensive first baseman, a guy that can play first base, and only first base, if that were the case. And so he's the guy I'm looking at. I think he's been hitting throughout the system, and I think they like him. And I think he's, a little bit of a late bloomer, but I think he's an interesting guy to watch.
He was drafted 12th round in 2021. Yeah,
which isn't that long ago.
No, but when you're a 4-year college grad, you're already an older draftee, and usually college players move through the system quicker because they're more mature.
Position players, if you're not a highly touted position player, tend to not.
Sure.
The arms certainly will. Even you see catchers a little bit too. And the other thing about Ben Rice is that, there would have to be a pretty interesting scenario where this would have to happen, because he's not on the 40-man right now. They would have to make a roster move. So the other guy that I'm looking at, I alluded to two. This guy is still in AA, and he's splitting time as well. 24 games at catcher, 12 at first base, 12 at DH. So they're looking him at a first base. They want his bat in the lineup. Augustin Ramirez. I didn't know a ton about this guy before this year. Obviously heard his name. He's a guy that's come up through the system. And I believe was international draft pool guy. But he is, when you watch him play, he looks the part. He does. He looks different. There's something that jumps off the screen when you're watching him. He's got a really fast bat, and he barrels up the ball. He hits the shit out of the ball, and he just looks the part. He looks like a damn athlete. And I was watching some interviews and just listening to coaching staff around him. They think he's different, and they think they're really high on this guy too. So that's another one that I would not be surprised we see moving up to AAA at some point, and potentially he is on the 40 man. So that's what makes him interesting as well.
He's number 20 in the Yankee system. It wouldn't surprise me at the midseason rankings if he shoots up that
I agree.
ranking.
I totally agree. And he's more age appropriate, I think. I think
he's 22. I think he's
22
22
or 23, yeah.
All right, in the third negative, no more Twins games this year. That's it.
Well, not in the regular season.
Yeah, you think they're gonna make the playoffs?
Maybe if they don't play the Yankees anymore this season, they have an opportunity. I have the AL Central is, I don't even know what it's going to be. Probably a dogfight towards, to the end of the season. I think it'll be competitive. So we'll see.
All right, big weekend series, the most anticipated regular season series in a long time for the Yankees against the Dodgers at Yankee Stadium this weekend. If you're going, you got to open up that wallet, but you can get tickets and you can find them on the Game Time app. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, meaning buying tickets to a baseball game on Game Time is faster and easier than ever. The Game Time app has so many great features. My favorites are the flash deals. You might want to use this option for the Dodgers series so you can monitor where the deals are and you can jump on those whenever they pop up. The all-in pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout, and the seat views that pan around so you can get awesome pictures from inside the venue. The app is very streamlined and easy to use. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to sporting events, but you can also find tickets to concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section in a row for less money, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, create an account, redeem code BRONX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Real quick before we get into a little bit about the Dodgers, something I texted you last night, I'd like to throw it out here for the people as well. Something that Andrew and I love doing the most. Over the course of this Bronx Pinstripes journey is going out to the Yankee Stadium with people who listen to the show and people who follow the Yankees. We'll see how big this group gets. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to be a quote formal event, but I'm looking at August 3rd. August 3rd tickets right now. I got my
They're playing Toronto, right?
Our Yankees rep on it. Yep, they're playing the Toronto Blue Jays, but there's a very good chance that I'm going to get a decently sized group of tickets for that game. So if you are interested, I would love to hear it. That'll help dictate, the amount of tickets I'm looking at and just, interest. I know that I've gotten a bunch of emails from people and messages just asking, hey, you guys doing events again? People like doing it. I love doing it. I would love to bring it back at some capacity. So August 3rd, shoot us along with a mailbag. Shoot me an email with if you're interested in going and how many tickets you think you'd be interested in with. So August 3rd, I believe that is a 1:00 game on that particular
breakfast
day.
beers at the dugout.
Breakfast beers, baby. So shoot me an email, info@bronxpinstripes.com. Shoot a mailbag with it and let me know how many tickets you'd be interested in. So, but I'd love to get a good group out there. I think it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, that'll be a good one. So info@bronxpinstripes.com.
So quickly, another thing that sent Yankees fans into a frenzy last night was when Soto's not out there after the rain delay, and then like 20 minutes later, Jason Dominguez is pulled after 7 innings from his game, and everyone's like, "Are these?" It's like Pepe Sylvia from Always Sunny at the board. Are these two things connected? What is going on here? And in my mind, I was like, damn, that would have been some fast analysis by the Yankees medical staff and relay down to the rehab where Dominguez is to get all that information there and executed that quickly. So I didn't think they were connected just from the sheer time that the two things happened, but it sure did make people think.
I mean, it would be as simple as a text message from from Aaron Boone to Shelley Duncan, right?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is they would have had to analyze Soto and assess.
Maybe it was just Boone was just like, you know what, just in case, get him out of the game.
But they would have had to like assess, okay, this injury is XYZ with Soto, which means Dominguez is coming up, who's still early in his fielding rehab. That's why he was pulled after the 7 innings, because it was a scheduled only 7 innings of defense for him.
I think that was the longest he's played in the field thus far.
So it would have been.
I gotta say, I don't quite understand that.
7 innings, 9 innings. What the fuck is the difference?
He's how old is he now? 20,
He's 12.
21. He is in like indestructible phase, you know, for as far as like an athlete. He's coming back from this. I understand, but it's been a beat. If he's out there playing, like there's no reason why he can't play in the field for a full game. It's
I know that seems to be a little cute.
It's a little much.
That's a little cute with this only 7 innings. This isn't like a pitcher throwing. No, he's going to throw 75 pitches. No, this is 7 innings. What happens if there's 7 innings go by and he gets no balls? Nothing. He's just standing out there. Then what?
I don't know. Yeah, that's when you use your judgment and send him out for another one. But it's just a little, I don't know.
Oh, he's gonna take 11 fungos on the backfield after the game of catching fly balls.
Yeah. You know, another quick note on the Dodgers series coming. We haven't really talked about it yet, but what else is coming? They have this group, and I've watched this group for a while because, you know, when we started doing events, I was looking around to see what other teams and fan groups were doing events like this. Pantone 294, I think it is. Pantone is the color of the Dodger blue color, and that's the name of the group. Rumor has it they got 2,000 seats that they purchased.
That's a lot.
And are going to be, I don't know if it's for tonight, Friday, or for Saturday, or maybe for Sunday for the Sunday night baseball game, which would also make sense. But they're going to be coming in hot. If you remember the last time the Dodgers were here, they were definitely at the game, and they were there and made a very big statement by putting together this massive Dodgers flag in left field. And it came out afterwards that they brought it in pieces and they like zipped it together, which I respect. I do.
Do you know what the most impressive thing about that is?
Yeah, the coordination. The
fact
that they
zipped
got it right.
How did they zip it up correctly?
Well, I don't know how many pieces that is. We did smuggle in 400 towels to a playoff game at Yankee Stadium.
But that was across 10 people in bags.
It was more than 10 people. I had like 25 mules.
People stuffed them in their shirts.
Yeah. So it's definitely possible. And if you're buying 2,000 tickets, you got plenty of manpower there.
But you have to have assignments. Like, okay, I'm piece 11B, and that means I zip it up with piece 11C. And it's like everything's labeled. Like, the coordination is the most impressive thing to get that zipped up correctly. Because you're going to have half an L over there, half an A over there, and everything's going to look like shit most of the time.
Yeah, it's an impressive feat. Nonetheless, Yankees fans got to give them endless shit.
Yeah,
if there's going to be 2,000 there, like that's going to be hard to drown out. But
especially if they're sitting close together,
which they will be. Which also Yankee ticket group sales. What are we doing?
Don't let that happen. You see some LA area codes buying 2,000 tickets. How about you ask some questions?
Well, they're also coordinating with bar owners on River, so there's some coordination with locals that is happening as well.
The enemy.
Yeah.
All right, so the Unified Road to Recovery, sponsored by Unified Healing. I want to talk about Gerrit Cole, who threw 45 pitches in Somerset earlier this week. All went well. He used all of his pitches, and he hit 96 mile an hour on the radar gun. 3 1/3, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Boone did not comment how many more rehab starts he will need, I think because he didn't want to say 1 or 2, because it could be 1 or 2, and didn't want to stick his foot in his mouth. Hey, good job, Boone, on that. And then for what it's worth, Fangraphs estimated his return is June 20th, which is against Baltimore, which is the exact series we identified last week.
Yeah, well, when I saw him out there just ripping fastballs, just absolutely dominant. I think he had, one over the minimum that he faced. Like, he looks like he's right. He looks like he's right, and he just needs to do some tweaking. People probably just need to see it on a mound against competition in a live game for them to actually pull the trigger. But again, similar to how I feel about Juan Soto and being a veteran player and one that takes this game as seriously as anybody on the offensive side. Gerrit Cole is that on the pitching side, defensive side. On the pitching side, this man is obsessed with the way that he does things, obsessed with this rehab, obviously, but also working hand in hand with the staff. So when he says he's ready to go and he's good to go, they're gonna bring him up.
That would be 2 more
It's as
rehab
simple as
starts.
that.
June 20th is 2 more rehab starts, and if it's only 1 more rehab start, that means he's going to come back on the road, which is fine. Like, he could certainly do that. But that would also mean he's coming back having only thrown probably about 60 pitches in the minors in his most
Well, he
recent
threw
start.
55 this last one, is that right? Is that what you said?
45.
45.
And so they're probably going to go up at about 15 to 60.
Yeah.
And then if he gets a third rehab start, he would throw 80 or 75, 80.
Look, I think the Orioles series makes a lot of sense. So, what's the next series where he would be if he came back early on the road?
I think that was at Boston. We said.
Yeah, that's right. It was at Boston. I much prefer the Baltimore series. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right, so go to unifiedhealing.com/Bronx to learn more and find a Unified Healing Center near you. That is spelled UNIFYD healing.com/Bronx. Thank you to Unified Healing and the EE System Technology for sponsoring today's Road to Recovery. Mentioned the Dodgers series coming up. I am very excited about that. Soto not playing in the series would definitely put a damper on the whole thing, but I'm super pumped to see Yamamoto, who's going to be pitching Friday night. Ohtani, obviously, and just the Dodgers in general always bring buzz. I'm going to be doing a podcast Friday afternoon with Dodger heads that is
Today
going
is
to be,
Friday, just for the people and for your. Just make sure you remember that it's Friday today.
It's in my calendar.
Okay.
A reminder. Don't worry. So I'm doing that podcast at 1 o'clock Eastern time. It will be on their YouTube channel, but we are going to then post it on our channel later in the day to check that out, talking to Dodgers podcasters about everything. So we'll go in depth there. Okay, so mailbag questions, info@bronxpinstripes.com. We already did Stevens about Rizzo. Next up is Ralph. Hello, my question and comment is in regards to Gleyber Torres. Why do you think the Yanks don't move him over to third base? His fielding issues usually come with having too much time. Moving him to the hot corner will probably solve that. I also don't think he turns double plays that quickly. His arm is pretty strong enough, and maybe the change of position will jumpstart his bat. Interested in your thoughts. Best regards, Ralph from South Ozone.
So I don't think Gleyber's defense is any of the problem here. I think that Gleyber's defense at second base is fine. If we saw what he was on the left side of the infield, it wasn't great. So I don't think you mess with that at all. And when you look at what you're looking for, typically from third base production, is you want more production from a third base. You can get a little less at second, I think. Granted, they don't LeMahieu being a third.
I think Gleyber's offensive production last year was
great, fine. It was good for second.
Good
base.
enough for good enough for third base too.
Either way, to me that's a moot point.
Yeah,
you just don't do it.
It's not at this point. You would have done it if you were going to do it. You're going to do it years ago, 2 years ago, not with a half a season to go before he's a free agent.
Right. Yeah. So you certainly don't do it now, and middle of the field approach for him. Let's keep it there on defense too.
If it was going to happen, if they made a decision, say that would have been after the 21 season, before they acquired Donaldson, when they were acquiring IKF to play shortstop, if they said we're going to have LeMahieu at second and turn Gleyber into our third baseman, that would have probably been the season to do it.
Yeah, I mean, body-wise, he does have a body for third base. He's got that third base body, but
a little squatty, I do like Ralph's point about hey, less time to think at third base.
Sure, it's not going to happen though. I mean, I get that. I don't think he's as much of a mimbo as you do, but I think he's doing just fine at second base. He does have really good instincts. So and instincts can change depending on where you're using those instincts. They may not be great reflexes at third base. Yes, you don't have to think as much, but maybe the instincts are just better at second base where you're up the middle and he knows where he is. So, all right, I'll get the next one here if I can find it now. I just, of course, got rid of my note. All right. Next one is from Will Hibbard. What's up, fellas? Writing from North Carolina. I've been a listener since 2017, but first time mailbagger. You guys have officially lit the fire under me, so here it goes. It's obvious that Mason Miller in Oakland's the golden goose to add to the bullpen down the stretch. Who are some plan BCD guys that you think are good fits if Miller goes somewhere else? P.S. I got a 4-month-old son, so I love hearing how Kemp's already big into the Yankees and Harrison's well on his way. I got my son a Judge jersey when I went up to Yankee Stadium in April for the Toronto series. At what age does it make sense to get him up for his first Yankee game? Thanks, and go Yanks.
That's a good question, because Kemp was 3, I believe you said.
Was it 3? It was no, it was 2019. He would have
been 3. He was born in 2017. So he would have been turning 3. He would have been turning 3 the summer that you took him to a game.
2017 to 18 is 1. 2018 to 19 is 2. So I think he was 2 and change. Yeah, that's how math works.
Okay.
But his first game was on Labor Day because I have the certificate for it. It was before an event that we had.
Okay, yeah.
Or it was before the Cameron Maben hug season thing. That's exactly what it was.
Did he last the whole game?
No, I have a picture of him passed out with the picture because I had Delta tickets. It was great. I had my whole family there. It was fun. But when do you want to do it? He's not going to remember that. They're not going to remember that. So really, it's up to the parents. Exactly.
How much fun do you want to have?
When do you want to take him? Yeah. If he's below 3, he'll probably fall asleep at some point. That's cool because they're napping and doing all that. So that's fine. But after that, right now, I'm going to bring him up for the August 3rd game. He's going to be turning 7 soon. He's going to have he's attentive to the game. He watches the game, but he doesn't watch the game solely. He's playing with Legos. He's doing something else. He's punching me in the face. He's kicking me in the legs. He's whatever it is, jumping on my back. So he's watching the game, but there's also something else happening. So it's very tough to keep his attention at one thing one time. So I'm very interested to see how his attention is at the game at this point at 7-year-olds. But I have a feeling it's going to be a little all over the place. It'll be in moments.
He's turning 7 this August, right?
Correct.
He is in my life the 95 season. I was 7 in 95.
Okay.
So that's the point. I remember I remember bits and pieces of the 95 playoffs. But I really mostly remember starting the next year, the 96 season. Well,
also because there was a monumental event that happened in 1996.
There was a monumental event in 1995. My dad almost broke everything in our house.
No, I mean, well, that's every year, isn't it? So it really isn't monumental.
It's especially
it just blends in.
When Edgar Martinez rips the ball down the left field line. It was pretty apparent something bad had happened.
Yeah, poor Don Mattingly. Last game, unfortunately, but. So I don't think there's a right answer. Really, it's really your tolerance level. He also went to a game.
There's a wrong answer.
I don't talk about this because I'm embarrassed by it. But Kemp's actual first game was in Tampa.
The Trop.
Yeah, we were down there, and I brought him to a game because we were down there for an event, and he fell asleep in that one. But and that one was.
How did he fall asleep in that Thunderdome?
Because he's like, what is this place? What am I doing? He's like, I just need to escape into an alternate. Reality, which is sleep.
So
he had a lot of fun with the group of Yankee fans that we had down there.
Depending on when your son is in that 2-year-old time frame, how regimented you are about naps. So afternoon naps are 1 p.m. ish. That's also when afternoon baseball games start. So unless you're going to a night game with him, which is unlikely because you want to get him to bed, that leaves only 4 o'clock games, and you really have to hone in on that window. Nap in the car on the way there, get him into the game, and then probably leave in the 4th inning so you can get back home and get him to sleep. It's a very narrow window when they're that age.
You deal with the aftermath. You understand what you're going in, and the nap gets thrown off. You did what we did. Give him as much cotton candy as he wants so that the sugar level goes up, and then all of a sudden there's a huge crash and he falls asleep. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't give him as much. They can only eat so much.
So do you remember when the Yankees were doing, quickly before we get to his actual question, do you remember the Peacock games that were at 11 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
So the year that they did those, I just wasn't able to take Harrison, but that would have been a cool game to take a kid to.
Sure.
Because you can go for almost the full game and then he can just nap in the car ride home.
Yeah, I mean, you can get away with that with a 1 o'clock game too. Also, you know what the superpower is for parents? It's really hard to obtain. I have a couple friends who were able to do this. They got their kid to nap wherever the hell they were. Their kid would just nap wherever the hell they were. Yeah, it's a tough one to pull off.
He needs a dark room, a sound machine, a fan.
Well, yeah. See, that's the problem. When they need all the things. But if you're able to do it, I don't think he's
gonna nap at 97 degrees in humid, smelly Yankee Stadium.
It's one of those superpowers that if you can pull it off as a parent, Godspeed. Because now you could just do whatever you want. And I have a few friends that are able to do that. But it's one of those. It's one of those things that you chase.
To Will's question about who are the backup options behind Mason Miller, who's the crown jewel of bullpen acquisitions. So another guy we had mentioned earlier in the season after the Oakland series was Lucas Erceg, who's also having a good year. You had mentioned Hunter Strickland when the Yankees were playing Anaheim last week.
Yep.
Tanner Scott from Miami.
And real quick, Hunter Strickland's he's a guy that's been named a whole bunch of times. He's the one who had who did he throw at? Was it Bryce Harper where he got into a fight? There was something. I think it was Bryce Harper where he had. He's a hothead. He's one of those guys. He's a veteran guy. Probably get him really cheap from Anaheim, but he's having a good year as well. And he said he was with the Giants. That's what it was when he got into that altercation. I think it was when Bryce Harper was with the Nationals.
Tanner Scott from Miami, left-handed reliever. He was really good last year. His numbers are pretty good this year. I was reading an MLB Trade Rumors article this morning that he's having some walk problems this year, which is concerning, but he's most likely going to be dealt because the Marlins stink and they have already traded pieces away. So he's another player to keep an eye for. But
what's David Robertson doing these days?
He's still in the league, right?
I'm sure he's pitching to a sub-3 ERA somewhere.
I think he's with Texas.
Yeah. God damn.
Well, they're not going to.
How old is he? 44, 45?
39.
No, he's
no
not
way.
45. Yeah, he's like
39.
40. Yeah.
He's 39, and he's got a 2.86 ERA. Good job, Scott.
Thank you. That's what he does. That's what he does. He's been doing it forever.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, good for him. High Sox for hope.
But usually the guys, look at the history of acquisitions that Brian Cashman has made for the bullpen.
Controllable guys.
Team-controlled guys. Tanner Scott's going to be a free agent after this year. Mason Miller is controlled. I think we also learned that Lucas Erceg was controlled. But Miller is going to cost a hefty amount of prospects. Hunter Strickland, I don't know. He's probably like a one-year free agent deal with, I would imagine, with Anaheim. But he likes to go after the players, like when he acquired Efros from Chicago or he acquired Trevino from Oakland a couple of years ago. He likes to acquire Canely back in 2017. He likes to acquire the bullpen arm that he can lock in for the next year, 2-3 years.
Yes, but he also goes after some bullpen potential rentals as well because his name is eluding me right now, but he pitched really well in the bullpen last year. Was an acquisition from, I'm looking up transactions right now in September and August. Kenyon Middleton.
Right? Oh yeah, but that was more of like a just we need a warm body type of acquisition.
I understand that, but it was a guy that they did like he did pitch well. I mean he pitched well, and it was those are the type of filler guys, and honestly like there's room for that type of thing I think this year as well. So especially when rosters expand, they're going to need more arms.
All right, last question is from Kevin. Guys, I've listened to your show for more than 5 years, but I have never asked a question. If you like, I will ask questions now.
Please do.
We do like. The Yankees currently have the best run differential in baseball. I think that is a great stat. So great, I think playoffs should be decided by that, not wins and losses. What do you think? Kevin Percival, Virginia. Oh, Kevin from Percival, Virginia. I am from Levittown, New York. So, Kevin, if you've been listening for 5 years, you know that I love coming up with new ways to fix baseball, quote unquote.
Harebrained schemes.
Like when I wanted to implement the point system in the regular season. Run differential, deciding, I'm assuming he's saying deciding playoff seeding, not literally playoff series.
Because no, I think what he's saying is you determine the standings based off run differential.
That's
not
what I'm
wins
saying.
and
So
losses.
playoff
Yeah.
seeding based on
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess it comes down to playoff seeding. Yes.
the final regular season standings are nothing to do with wins and losses. They have to do with
Correct.
run differential.
Yes.
So I would venture to guess, having done no research, it's going to be pretty damn close to actual wins and losses.
I agree.
But in theory, you could be unlucky and you could have a good run differential and a bad win-loss record. That might not be unlucky. You might just have some players that poopy pants and that they can't win in big spots, but then you win 9-1 the next day and you lose 2-1, right? So I guess stuff like that could happen.
So I'm looking I'm glancing at the numbers right here and looking for some outliers. Okay, so Arizona, but we're looking at the differential, right? So Arizona, they have more runs scored than San Diego, but San Diego is +6 in differential.
Well, if you're looking on the MLB app, they have a run differential column.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it right this very second, in fact. Cincinnati and Chicago. Here's the biggest discrepancy that I'm finding so far. Chicago, who is probably in a wild card spot. Let me look to see if they're in a wild card spot. They are in a wild card spot. Their run differential between them and Cincinnati is drastically different. And everybody else. Chicago right now has a -14 run differential. And Cincinnati, who's out of the playoffs, has +15. Mm-hmm. San Diego,
but they're only separated by a game. I bet if we look in
no,
2
-14.
Weeks, I know that, but they're only separated in the standings. The Cubs and the Reds are only separated in the standings by a game.
Oh, yes, correct.
So a week from now, that's probably going to be flipped.
Right, but right now it isn't. So if today was the end of the season, and this were to happen, then that's a significant difference in run differential. Who's the better team?
That's the only outlier.
That's the only outlier that
every other division. I'm looking at it.
Yep.
If you order by run differential, then that's also the standings.
Yeah, even first and second in the division falls in line with that too.
Yeah, AL West, Seattle +10. I guess Texas and Seattle is actually, that's a good difference. Seattle is a +10 run differential, but they have a 5-game standing lead over Texas, who has a +13 run differential.
Yep. Yeah.
The AL Central is ordered the same. Same for the AL East. Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox are in order, and they also have the same order for run differential. So listen, I think it's interesting. You might get an outlier. You might get an outlier, but I'd say for the most part, you're going to get consistent results. And it's mostly because over a 162, things even out.
It's really a source of truth. It is. I mean, if you score more runs and don't give up as many, you're going to win more games. The only thing that you start looking at here is when a team scores 20 runs in one game,
right?
And you have that type of pile on. If you have a couple of those, you can really throw it off, which probably happened somewhere with Cincinnati.
But those games, do they become more interesting? Because normally in a game, it's the 7th to 8th inning. You're down by 12 runs. Hey, left fielder, you want to pitch?
Oh, because of the run differential.
Now, do you do that? Or you don't take your foot off the gas.
You definitely don't take your foot off the gas. There will be...
Didn't this happen in the NBA where they were doing the midseason... Wasn't the midseason tournament based on point differential? I believe.
I got to be honest. I don't know shit about the midseason tournament. It looked dumb from the surface, and I never.
I believe the midseason tournament, and I only know this because I said, "Oh, baseball may benefit from a midseason tournament."
Yeah, we had a conversation about this. I remember.
But I think it was based on point differential, and so normally in the NBA, 6 minutes to go in the game, you're up by 18 points. Yeah, everyone's out there dribbling,
load management,
whatever. But you can't do that if it's based on point differential. So now. Soto's not coming out of Judge ain't coming out of the game in the 8th inning up by 8 because that 2-run home run might make us a better standing in the playoffs.
Yeah, load management hates this idea.
Does.
Which makes me, if you're sticking it to the nerds, then okay, I'm further in now.
Yeah. Oh, good question.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for the
like
thanks
ones
for the
like
questions.
that, a little outside the box. And hey, you guys can ask questions about like Will did about taking his kid to a game. You can ask Scott about his college days, partying with Justin Verlander. I got my air conditioning fixed, by the way, finally.
Oh, congratulations. That took a lot longer than you expected. The last time we talked about this, I know we've...
No, it got installed on Tuesday, which was 12 days after it broke. That's not that long.
No, I thought you were getting it fixed the weekend. You had a guy coming, but he just surveyed, and then but he didn't fix it.
I got 3 quotes.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were getting it fixed.
Spoiler, I went with the cheapest. It's a 22-year-old system. It needed to be completely replaced.
Yeah.
Was
2
not
weeks without
cheap.
air conditioning's a lot.
So the first week the Memorial Day weekend sucked. It was hot as shit, but then we had a really nice week, low humidity, so it didn't matter at all. But then it got super hot again, and then it finally got installed.
Yeah. Are you getting air conditioning in the basement?
No, I didn't do that because not only would I have needed duct work, which was going to cost more money, I needed a bigger system, which would have cost more money, and
they tell you that you need a bigger system, but you don't need a bigger system.
You do need a bigger system.
Yeah,
it's based on square footage.
What if it's just not as good in the basement?
It would have made the whole house not as good.
I don't know. Adjust the vent. You know, I do that.
You are not qualified to talk about this.
Like hell, I'm not. I've owned a home for plenty of time.
Yes,
that makes me qualified to talk about everything.
I don't have a big house. Okay, I have a 3-ton system. If you include the square footage of my basement, I would have needed to go up to a 3.5-ton system. And not only that, that means I would have had to replace the other air pieces of the air handler. So it would have cost me exponentially more to do that. I'm just going to sweat it out in the basement for the rest of my life.
That's on you.
Until I sell this house.
It's funny because my basement's cold.
Yeah, you're wearing a hoodie. I'm in
so
shorts
damn
and
cold.
t-shirt.
I've gone around to my basement and closed every single vent, and it's still cold. It's crazy.
The thing is there's no winning too because I have a nice basement. It's carpeted. It's mostly finished. In the winter, it's just damp and cold as balls down here. And then in the summer, boy, is it hot.
You know what you need to get? You need to get one of those portable AC units. And I'm not talking about typical
the ones
fan.
that I have one of those that go out.
There's a hose.
A hose that goes out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is I can't take the glass pieces off the whole windows down here.
Yes, you can. You just take a hammer and take the glass pieces off. It's really easy.
Great. Then
It's a lot of fun too.
Freaking rodents crawling into my basement.
No, so they'll just go into the AC unit. It won't work out well for them. You know, put a screen on the outside of it. You can rig this system.
You remember the squirrel?
I've had squirrels. I had a squirrel in my house growing up.
We're getting off topic. Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out that episode with the Dodgers podcast that I do. I don't know if it's going to be on our feed. I think it's going to be on our feed. It's going to be a surprise. We'll talk to you guys Monday after the Dodgers series.